Hello and welcome to episode 1 of my Minecraft modding tutorial for 1.16. In this tutorial we'll be installing Java, Eclipse and setting up the workspace to get started with our mod. So the first thing we're going to do is install Java. Java is the programming language we're going to be writing in. Head over to adopt.openjdk.net, there's a link in the description. JDK stands for Java Development Kit and it's the version of Java we're going to be using to create our mod. So where it says choose a version, we're going to select OpenJDK 8. We don't need to select a JVM, just leave it at hotspot and let's download it. I'm going to click keep and just wait for the OpenJDK to download. Once that downloads, we're going to open the MSI file. Bear in mind I'm using Windows. Click next, accept the license agreement, click next again, and this is quite important as we want to also set the Java home variable. So select this feature will be installed on local hard drive and click next and click install to begin the installation. And what this does is install Java on your computer. It will also set the environment variables and the Java home path. Once that's installed, we can check that our Java home is set to the right place. So let's click start, type in environment variables and open it, and then click the environment variables button. And then you should see this Java home path. If we click edit and click browse directory, it should go to C, program files, adopt OpenJDK, JDK 8.0 275.1-hotspot. And you want to click OK, and then click OK again, and then click OK and OK. And now we've set up Java home. Eclipse is going to be our IDE, or our development environment. It's the application that's going to help us write our code. So head over to eclipse.org, link in the description, and click the download button. This will send you to the Eclipse download page. Just click download and then click download again. And this will begin to download an exe file, which is your Eclipse installer. So let's wait for that to finish. And once it's downloaded, we can open the exe file. And after a bit of waiting, we can see this Eclipse installer by Oomph. So let's wait for that to finish opening, and it should open this window here. Now we are going to be developing in Java, so let's click the first option, and let's click install. Accept the license agreement, and it should begin to install Eclipse. After it finishes installing, it's going to give you a launch button, but first let's set up Forge. So we can close this installer for now. So next we want to head over to files.minecraftforge.net, link in the description. In our Minecraft version, we want to select 1.16.4 because that's the version we're going to be coding for, and it's also the latest version of Minecraft. And here we can choose between the latest version of Forge and the recommended version of Forge. We're going to select the recommended version of Forge because this is the most stable version. And then we want to make sure to select the MDK, which is the mod development kit. Let's click on it. And it should take us to this page, so let's click skip. And it's going to download a zip file. Head over to where the file downloaded, and let's click it, and we're going to copy it to the place where we're going to be modding. So I've created a folder where I'm going to be doing all my modding, and I'm going to paste the Forge MDK in here. Now let's make a new folder. You can name this whatever you want. You can replace the tutorial mod. This is going to be where our Eclipse workspace is going to be. Now we can rename the zip to the name of our mod. In my case it's tutorial mod. And right click and click extract all. Click extract. Once we've extracted this here, we want to go to the navigation bar here and type cmd. And this should open a command prompt window with this path here, which is the path that we've saved our mod folder to. Now let's type gradle gen eclipse runs -- refresh -- dependencies. And you want to make sure you spelt it exactly as I have, or it will give you an error. Now we can press enter and it should say starting daemon, and if this comes up, just allow it access to the network. And now this can take anywhere from a minute to almost an hour on some devices, but it shouldn't take too long, so let's just wait for that to finish. And once it's done, for me it took 5 minutes, we have to run one more command, gradle eclipse. So again, make sure you've spelled it correctly, and click enter. And again, wait a bit more time while it sets up the Eclipse workspace. And finally it's done. This one took 2 minutes, so we can close command prompt and open Eclipse. So let's start Eclipse like we would start any other app and wait for it to load. Now we want to set the workspace for Eclipse. So let's click Browse and let's locate the folder that we saved the mod to and select the workspace folder. Click Select and click Launch. And once it's loaded, we can close the Welcome window. We can close the Donate window, we can close the Outline window, and we can close the Problems, Javadoc, and Declaration window. Before we start coding, I want to quickly customize my Eclipse. So I'm going to go to Windows, Preferences, General, Appearance, and I'm going to set the theme to Dark. I'm also going to search for Font, go to Colors and Fonts, Java, and Java Editor Text, click Edit, and set my font to a custom font I've installed. Now if I click Apply, the theme has changed. It might want to restart Eclipse. I'm not going to do this now, but you can click this button if you want to. So now we want to install our JSON editor plugin, which is going to allow us to edit JSON files. Let's go to Help, Eclipse Marketplace, and once it loads, we're going to search for JSON, J-S-O-N, and we're going to install this JSON editor plugin. Let's click Install. Next, we want to accept and click Finish. When this window comes up, we want to click Install anyway. And now it's going to ask to restart the Eclipse IDE, so let's click Restart now. Every time you load Eclipse, it's going to ask for the workspace. It should remember the previous workspace you put in, so let's just click Launch. And once it's launched, we can finally start coding. Let's click Import Project, click Gradle and Existing Gradle Project, then click Next again, then let's click Browse. Now once again let's go to our modding folder, but this time select the folder with Forge inside it and click Select. Then click Finish, and this can take a couple of minutes, but it should import our project. And once it's loaded, we can close these two Gradle windows, open the tutorial thing here, click these three buttons, and change our package presentation to hierarchical. And now finally we can start coding our mod. Let's open the source main Java folder, and this is where we're going to code our mod. So let's right click on this package, go to Refactor and Rename, and now let's change it to the name of our mod. So we're going to rename it to com.cy4. If you have a website, you can change it to the name of your website and the address here. Then I'm going to put the name of my mod. So now we need to think of a mod ID. A mod ID can be any string of letters. It shouldn't have any spaces. I don't recommend it to have underscores or not, and it shouldn't have any numbers or capital letters. So for example, my mod ID is going to be tutorial mod, like so, and as you can see, it has no numbers, spaces, letters, or symbols. And this is the mod ID that Minecraft is going to use to load it into the game. For example, Minecraft's mod ID is just Minecraft. Let's remember this mod ID and click OK. And now if we open this package, we have our example mod class. I'm also going to rename this. I'm just going to call it tutorial mod. Let's click Finish, and now open this tutorial mod.java class. And you might be quite overwhelmed, but we're going to delete most of this right now. Let's start by deleting all of these methods here, from private void setup to registry events. So let's just delete that, and you might see we get a lot of errors. You can also press Ctrl, Shift, and F in Eclipse to automatically format the code. Now let's remove all of this here, but leave minecraftforge.eventBus.register. Now what I'm going to do is type iEventBus, bus is equal to fml mod loading context dot get mod event bus. And now we can hover over this to import, or in Eclipse you can press Ctrl, Shift and O to automatically set all the right imports. Now let's remove this and change our logger from private to public so that we can access it from anywhere. I'm also going to delete this comment and change our mod name to tutorial mod, which is our mod ID that we set up here. Next, let's create a variable for our mod ID. So under the logger, we're going to type public static final string mod ID is equal to, and then once again, we're going to type tutorial mod. Now, in our code, whenever we want to reference mod ID, we just access the tutorial mod class, which has this inside of it. Let's ignore the warning that this isn't used here because it will be used once we create blocks and items. That's all the coding in Java we're going to be doing in this episode, as we're not actually going to be adding any features yet. However, we need to tell Forge some data about our mod when we load it. To do this, we go to source main resources, which is going to have all the textures, assets, and JSON files for your mod. Inside the meta.inf folder, you'll see a mods.toml file. This will by default open in Notepad, so we can close it and click open with text editor. And once again, you might feel quite overwhelmed, but we are going to delete most of this. Let's start by deleting every single line that starts with a hashtag, and make sure you don't delete any line that doesn't, otherwise Forge won't be able to load your mod. So I'm going to delete these 4 lines at the start, and all the lines in between here. So I want to leave the license, mod loader, and all that stuff. Once we finish, we want to change these 2 example mod files to our mod ID, so tutorial mod. Next, let's remove the line with the issue tracker URL, and these 2 update JSON URLs and display URLs. I'm also going to remove the authors line as it's optional, and I'm going to change the license to MIT because my code is open source. I'm also going to remove these comments that say mandatory. Let's change our mod ID to tutorial mod, and our display name, which is what the display name of the mod is, to tutorial mod with spaces and capital letters. I'm going to leave the logo file here because I'm going to be setting a logo file later. And I'm going to set the credits to tutorial by CY4. Next, we have this really long lorem ipsum line, which is the description of our mod. So I'm just going to get everything and delete it. You can have multiple lines in the description. I'm just going to call it mod by CY4. And you can write some stuff here, but I'm not going to. So that's my description. I'm going to delete this line, and that's all the customization we have to do. Now I'm just going to delete all these comments so that it's a clean file. And that is actually it. Now we can load the mod. So let's double click on run client.launch and then close this. And now whenever we want to launch the mod, click run as and then select run client. If you don't see this, you might have to open run client again and close it just so it registers as a launch file. So let's launch, and you should see the console open and a new window, which is the mod loading process. This will start to load the mods that you have installed. These mods are Forge, Minecraft, and your custom mod that you've created. This might take a moment, but eventually you'll see the Minecraft loading bar as it starts to load Minecraft. And now, once it's loaded, we can see that there's 3 mods loaded, which are Forge, Minecraft, and our mod. So if we click mods, we should see Minecraft, Forge, and our tutorial mod, which currently doesn't have a logo, but has the name. It doesn't have a version, it has the mod ID, credits, and our description that we put. This mod currently doesn't add any content, but in the next episode, I'll be telling you how you can add blocks, items, and tabs, as well as lots of custom features. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing. If you need help, leave a comment, and I'll see you later.